G'day, my name's Darryl Webb. Today we're going to have a look at the Infiray Zoom zh50. It's a thermal scanner with a 25mm lens and a 50mm one in one unit. So yes, that's right, optical zooming. 640 sensor. This is a pretty high-end unit, but I know you guys have been looking at my videos and I see the watch time is up around 10 minutes for these type videos, so I'm going to try and keep the video in that area. So I'm going to briefly go over the specifications, the important ones. We'll go over the functionality and build quality, the important bits, and we will go over some pros and cons. So on that note, let's get into the video. Okay, when you receive the package, it's in this box. It's got a magnetic opening. It's got a big, thank you for choosing Infiray Outdoors. There is a quick start guide. There is the actual hard little carry case with the device in it, and there's a little box in there that just has the charging dock in there. So we'll move that out of the way. So in here, so it has a battery in it and another battery there, so you can swap them out. They just drop in the charging dock and charge off USB-C. In here you'll have some so you have a USB-C lead. You also have, it's got HDMI integration into that lead as well. There's a strap and some hand straps and cleaning cloths and things like that. Anyway, all interesting stuff. Alright, as I said, the battery's there. Let's have a look at the unit. So that's the way it all sort of comes packaged in there, in that case. And before we go too much on that, let's just have a quick look at this start guide, because what we'll do is we'll just see. I'll just see if it actually had the specs on there that I wanted. When you get this, if you want the actual full user manual, you have to scan a code or get the app and download it, which I thought was a bit strange. But anyway, alright, so I'll just go over the really important ones here. So this is the zh50. So the resolution of the sensor is 640 by 512. It's got 12 micron pixels. It has a net D of sub 25 millikelvin, that's important, and a 25 Hz frame rate. The object lens on this is 25 and 50, so your field of views for those two distances are 17.5 degrees by 13.1, and on the 50mm it's 8.7 degrees by 6.6. So the base mag on the 25mm is 2.2. I think the base mag on 50mm is around 4, but you might want to check that for yourself. It's also got digital magnification. Okay, detection range. On the 25mm, it's 1298 metres for a person-sized target and 2596 metres for a person-sized target on the 50mm lens. It has 1 to 4 electronic zoom, 20mm exit pupil distance. The diopter's dialable, it's very nice, you can get a very clear picture on that. The Z50, it's an AMOLED display for the resolution, it's 1440 by 1080. It's a lithium-ion battery packs of 4,400 milliamp hour. They charge by US port C. The battery life is 10 hours. I guess that's going to be depending on what you're doing. 32GB internal capacity, and it weighs 650 grams. Alright, that's probably the most important bit you need to know out of it. Now, picking up the unit out of its case, it's got a bit of weight to it. The build quality feels nice. It's got a very solid metal cap to protect that big 50mm and 25mm in one lens. It's got the traditional layout like the earlier models had, so with the menu button in the middle, up and down arrows, and a separate power switch. That's really easy to do. A rubber eyepiece. You can rotate it. It's just a little bit different than some of the other models. The diopter, it's not a clicky one on this. You actually just change like that. It actually comes up very sharp. And the zoom lens is done through here. It's quite stiff. We'll talk about that in some of the cons. But anyway, there's a nice little handle on there. It does fit in the hand really nicely. I do like using it. It does feel very comfortable in your hand, and it gives you a good purchase on it. You're not going to drop it, and it's quite natural at that angle to bring it up to your eye. The battery, so it's pretty much this. You turn it and you pull it out. It's quite stiff to do, so I won't do it, but it is changeable readily enough in the field. Other sort of features that are sort of a bit more important on this one, as I was saying, that we'll do other sort of important ones. So it's got the ultra clear mode. So some of the clips you may have seen already on here or are about to see, some were filmed in over 90% humidity, and the ultra clear mode did help with it. But I found the unit at sub 25 millikelvin, it actually did really well, even without it on. There's also a built-in Wi-Fi mode, so you can turn Wi-Fi in on the unit, and you can go into an app, Infiray Outdoor app. If you open that up, you can update your device through there. You can get access to the device files. You can look at videos you've filmed and downloaded, so it gives you a good way of getting stuff from there without having to actually put it on a computer. That's where it works as well. Oh, and also on there it's also got a remote viewfinder, so you can actually use it to a tablet, which is I use on my fh35r. I use that a lot to a tablet and actually use it as a remote screen because there's not a lot of lag with these more modern devices. So we're out here, we've got the Infiray fh35r, the Finder 2, which is one I own, it's my personal one, and we've got the Zoom zh50, which is the one we're testing here. Got them side by side. I'm going to hook the Zoom up to the tablet there. You can actually already see it connected to the tablet there, and I'm going to hook the fh35r up to this phone that I'm filming with now. So anyway, let's go look at that stuff. Some of my favourite parts, the pros and cons. Not everything was perfect on this, so let's start with the cons. There's really only one, and it does two things at once. Is that when you zoom it, the zoom is very stiff. I'm not sure what's actually mechanically happening in there and what you're changing. Maybe you're sliding a sensor backwards or forwards. I'm not sure, but I find it's very stiff. And also, actually getting it in focus is very touchy. You have to be very, very precise. So if you sort of set up at 25mm, you know, everything from about 20 meters out to infinity is in focus, and you scan around. All of a sudden, if you see something at, you know, a couple of 100 meters, you can't quite ID it unless it moves. But the zoom, you'll just zoom in and refocus on it, and then it gives you a lot more detail because obviously you've zoomed in. I found sometimes I'm actually waiting for it to move just because by the time you zoom it in, and it's so touchy to get in focus that sometimes I feel I'm not taking full advantage of the zoom. I'd rather wait for a split second. Don't get me wrong, it's there and I definitely do use it, no doubt about it, it's fantastic. I just wish that it wasn't quite so stiff, but more importantly that the focus wasn't so, you didn't have to be so precise. It's not that the field of view is shallow and everything's out of focus before it and after it. It's a nice wide field of view that's when in focus, but you have to hit it just right, and it's very, very touchy. But all in all, that's the only con I really had. All right, let's go on the pros, because there's a couple of really good ones. I said I've got an fh35 Finder 2, so I've got, you know, 640 sensor, so I know what these are sort of meant to be. In comparison, there's some big things I've noticed straight away. The viewfinder, when you put it up to your eye, you feel like you're looking up and around in there. It's a really pleasant experience. It's made my Finder screen feel a little bit small and far away, so that's a nice bonus. The sub 25 millikelvin sensor, that just shows a lot more detail in things. I've noticed, particularly I've used it in some high humidity, and even without turning on the ultra clear, I find it still does really well. I can see more detail in the grass and trees and things like that, and I can definitely see more detail in the animals. So you'll probably get ID of a stationary animal further with this one. The zoom, that's a big part of it. When you do decide to zoom in, being able to get into that, you get the extra thermal power of the 50mm lens, and you get that extra, you know, it's not a cropping, you actually get optical zoom, so that's massive. The battery can be changed, so that's a big bonus. I love the way they've gone back to the, compared to my Finder, the normal straight layout with the buttons. It's very easy to find around. And I also like now that when you're on the Wi-Fi, and even when you're filming in this, a couple of massive things, especially for me because I do videos, there's a microphone in it that works. And all the information that's on the screen that you can see with your eye is recorded on the thing. I'd love if Infiray did an upgrade like that to do on my fh35r, because I really miss that. The microphone's important. I'm sure you've heard some audio now, or if you haven't, you will in a minute. And it's usable. It's not the best audio I've ever seen, but it's definitely usable. You can incorporate it into your videos, and having all the information, you know, what settings you're on and things like that is very, very nice.
Recording the audio through the
zh50. You see some kangaroos out there bouncing along. That one that's bouncing will be over 300 metres, coming into 250. I'm going to zoom in and let's see if we can see much detail on that. Yeah, it's quite good, the optical zoom. Conclusion. We'll start with the big one. Would I recommend this? Yeah, look, if you're in the bracket of you need something and that's got the best performances from Infiray, I haven't used all their models and I haven't used all the other big companies' models, so I can't give it a definitive answer, but going by its specs, this guy's really taken it to some of the bigger European brands and some of the other Chinese manufacturers. It's pretty revolutionary with the 50mm and 25. The dual field of view it's a really great idea, and it definitely a step in the right direction. And I'd love to see Infiray and other manufacturers go with that, because it makes the choices a lot easier. You know, sometimes you're like, I hunt open paddocks, and then other times you hunt forests, and you know, it's really hard to get one thermal that does them all. So they've really done that in this. The changeable battery, the Wi-Fi works really, really well. You can use it as a remote screen. It does have a HDMI outlet through it with the with that lead that it came with, so you can put it to a HDMI remote screen. Although I said it does work quite well with the Wi-Fi. The fact that the build quality, you know, they haven't mucked around. Each one of these ones I've tried from, you know, back a little while to the more modern stuff, they're getting more and more metal, and they're getting more and more ergonomic. They just fit your hands a lot better now. The button layout is still really good, and I know I said the interchangeable battery is important if you're doing big long hours on these, because it's nice to be able to change the battery out in the field without having leads and things stuck to it. So yeah, conclusion wise, if you don't need a rangefinder and you're after the ultimate, you know, thermal experience by its specifications, sub 25 millikelvin and that, this is definitely probably the way to go. It is definitely a step up from the fh35r from performance, but it doesn't have a rangefinder. So, but it is a bit more expensive. So you know, that's up for you to look in your budget and what you can afford and what you can't. But I like it. Unfortunately, I can't keep it. I have to send it back. But I'm sure maybe I'll be able to do some reviews on some more stuff. Anyway, on that note, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to see some more thermal reviews, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.